Hey, welcome everybody. Purple Mortgage Guys, Brent here and Tanner Weber. Just a couple of mortgage guys talking some Vikings football and coming to you today after a brutal Monday night game in Philadelphia. Fall short 24-7. Tanner, I think you predicted a loss, but this one was pretty ugly, and we're here to recap it today. Update.
Do we have to?
Predictions.
We do have to.
That's in our contract here, man. We have to talk. And then we'll look ahead maybe to next week. But Tanner, initial thoughts on the game. Not a pretty sight.
Yeah, not one that you want to recap. I did think that we were probably going to lose that game, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as what it was. There wasn't really a positive thing I think you could probably take away from the game. It was hard to find a bright spot. Offense did not look good. Defense looked really bad. And I think the thing that's the most disappointing is we kind of just seemed to stick with what we were doing, both on offense and defense, the entire night, and didn't really switch anything up or make any adjustments at halftime to see if we could spark some sort of fire. It was an ugly game to watch, and it's definitely one we're probably going to want to forget about. It's a game that we haven't played quite that bad. I think within at least 2 years. The game that comes to mind is probably the Buffalo one 2 years ago at home when Josh Allen came in and tore us up. That's kind of what it felt like. So
a lot of similarities there. It felt like, we talk about never too high, never too low. The reality is somewhere in the middle there. Last week, a lot of talking points were how we were going to win all these games. Super Bowl 17-0, obviously not realistic. After last night, probably some fans thinking we'll never win another game. Reality is we're probably a pretty decent team that had a very bad game. But it felt, I don't know about you, Tanner, it felt to me a lot like the first half felt like the NFC Championship game back for the 2017 season, where Eagles were up quickly and things felt like they were getting out of hand quickly. And then the second half felt like we had all these opportunities to get back into it, and you just knew it wasn't our night. From the Irv Smith drop, sure-handed, or it would have surely been a touchdown. Looked a lot like Christian Watson from Week 1 with the Packers. So we know how that feels now, which is not fun. Right after he scored his first touchdown, right. And then all the interceptions where it seemed like it was the play earlier. There was an open guy, and it could have been a touchdown, and then the next play. We turned the ball over and we just kept shooting ourselves in the foot over and over again. So a lot to reminisce on, a lot to point at. Overall, it just felt like a total team loss where nothing seemed to go right and not a lot of high points. So looking at the first half, Eagles scored. Hurts had his first of two rushing touchdowns, 7-0. We go 3 and out. They get the ball back. They go up 14-0. We do respond with Irv Smith. And then Eagles end up tacking on another touchdown. And then we try to preserve some time to get the ball back late in the first half. That backfires. They march down, pick up a field goal, and we're down 24-7 at half. No scoring in the whole second half. So you could point to a lot of things there, but just an ugly game. So anything else that you could add to that, I guess?
I think the only thing that I'd like people, I'm going to steal a tidbit here from Aaron Rodgers, and just I think people need to relax a little bit. This was one of our tougher games on the schedule, and I do think that this is still going to be a really good team this year. And I do think they're going to come back and put together a good string of wins here going forward. We have a very favorable schedule, and there is probably a pretty good chance that we could end up seeing Philly again next year. So we need to make those adjustments. I'm glad that this happened now at the beginning of the year as opposed to later in the year. So you can kind of figure out what kind of team this is. But there's just so many people. I mean, you listen to Ventline too on other podcasts and stuff, and there's a lot of negative energy flowing around social media and stuff this morning. And I think people just are overreacting a little bit, but
I would agree on the overreacting. I think that's every week in the NFL. You go from Super Bowl to draft pick talk like in the span of 7 or 8 days, which is pretty normal. I think the thing for me, when Irv dropped that ball, that was surely a touchdown. I think the game would have been way different. I think you could say the same thing with the Green Bay game week 1. If they would have made a couple plays, that game could have been a whole lot of different, whole different story. And that's the NFL in general. Like a couple plays make a huge difference in these games. And it just felt like nothing was going right for us last night. Tanner, you and I are in the mortgage business. Sometimes you have those days, those weeks where it's just like nothing can go right. And I think probably pretty similar with the football team and how things went last night. So
Right.
I agree with you. A lot of overreacting. I think the one thing that concerned me watching that first half was I think you or I could have probably ran a few routes and gotten open and caught some passes, which you're a lot more athletic than I am, but that is not a good sign when we kept doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know if they made adjustments. It didn't really look like it on defense. So I don't know why the second half the Eagles, maybe sat on a lead, you could say, or maybe made some mistakes themselves. But it didn't seem like we really changed much on the defensive side. What are your thoughts there?
That's my biggest rant about the game and the entirety is there were no adjustments on defense at all. We were playing an off-man zone coverage against 2 really good receivers. AJ Brown's one of the best in the league. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, it's a really good tight end, but you're putting guys like, they're showing replay clips of guys like DJ Wanham who are supposed to be rushing the QB, covering guys like Devontae Smith out of the slot. Like you're not going to win a lot of those matchups. And I figured going into the second half, they would have made those adjustments to maybe bring some of the corners up and press them at the line, get physical with them, make them do something, make them earn it. But Donatel didn't do that. And that is the one thing I do have a concern about going forward. Are we going to make those adjustments going forward next week or even into the following week after that? Because we do play some pretty good string of receivers coming up. What's going to happen when we got to go to Miami and play Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, one of the 2 fastest players in the league? Like you can't be playing off-man zone coverage 10 yards off the ball when it's 2nd and 15. So
I think Aikman did a good job of highlighting that last night with the shell coverage, and he drew it out, and you could just, like, the middle of the field, the first 10, 15 yards were there for the taking all night long. So that's concerning. Looking at some stats, I think if I remember right, Eagles had 125 yards in the first quarter to our 10. Time of possession was insanely lopsided that whole first half and probably all night. I think it was 36-23 on time of possession for minutes there. Total yards, Eagles outgained us 486 to 264, outrushed us 163 to 62. Kirk Cousins was our leading rusher with 20. That is never a good thing. We turned the ball over 3 times, of course, not good. 4 of 12 on third down. Looking for a highlight here, Tanner. I'm not really seeing it. So we'll get into rants and raves here in a few minutes. But overall, probably one we just want to forget about, move on. Good thing is we play again in 5 days from now. We've got Detroit at home on a quick turf surface, which I feel like we always play better on turf, but play better at home. Kirk plays better at noon. So hopefully we can get right next week. But we'll see. I'm really excited to see what a KOC team looks like when they face adversity and have to bounce back. So,
yeah, me too.
Bold predictions. We each had a couple of those. Your bold prediction was Jalen Reagor, I believe. Fill in the audience here for those that didn't catch it.
I was going to score a touchdown against.
Jalen Reagor was going to score a touchdown. That was pretty bold. He did get the ball on a handoff. He looked pretty quick. My bold prediction was we would have a defensive or special teams score. I did not anticipate, I guess I wasn't seeing it clearly. I didn't realize that the Eagles had Usain Bolt as a punter, where they were going to track us down. So a guy by the name of Aaron Sipos, I don't even know if I said it right, but we blocked the field goal. We get back in the game. We should have had probably a scoop and score for 6. And Aaron Sipos tracks down Chris Boyd, tackles us. We don't convert it to anything. I think we throw a pick, Kirk's first pick later in that possession. So yeah, just anything that could go wrong seemed to go wrong last night. So prediction wise, I actually had them winning 29-28. Obviously that wasn't even close. Tanner, you saw it clearly on the L. I think you had 24-16. So probably not how you envisioned it, but overall, yeah, you had this marked as a loss. So let's quick hit on our rants and raves. So one good thing that we saw from the team last night, and then one thing that we want addressed or we want to nitpick at, I would say the exact opposite of last week. Going to be easy to find something that we were not pleased with, and probably very difficult to find something that we want to rave about. But Tanner, I'll let you start. What's a rant of yours from last night?
Where do I start at? Which one do you want me to
Try
start
to keep
with?
these to about 20 minutes. So you better pick your best.
I'll hit three real quick. I already talked about the defensive play calling, playing off man zone coverage the entire game. No adjustments made. Continuing to blitz Jalen Hurts when that clearly wasn't working. That's probably my biggest rant. The defensive play calling was atrocious, and I missed Mike Zimmer a little bit last night.
Ooh.
Second one would be force feeding. I mean, I don't want to say this probably sounds bad because Justin Jefferson's one of the best receivers in the game, if not the best. But I felt like we got to a point in the second half where we were force feeding him a bit. And I don't know if that comes from coaching or if that comes from Kirk himself just saying, hey, make a play, get me out of this hole. But he has always just been one of those QBs that seems like he becomes paralytic after he throws a pick and never really recovers from it. Obviously, one pick led to another, and a second led to a third. And then I think there were even a few that were dropped by Darius Slay. So that's probably my second biggest one. And then the third one, obviously, is the Irv Smith drop. That could have been a huge momentum shift, I think, for us, especially that being on the road. You can't afford to have miscues like that. And yeah, he's gonna have to make up for that next week. He's taking a ton of heat, I think, on social media today.
Yeah, I think you pretty well nailed it with all of those. The Smith thing, like, what are you gonna do about that? It's a drop. You don't want to see that. I would say mine, like, first half, I would have said the defense and exactly what you said. Second half, it just felt like now is our time to really change the narrative and jump back in this game, take it back. It was there for the taking multiple times, not to win it even, but just to get back in it and make it a game. And we just kept shooting ourselves in the foot over and over and over again. And that seems to play with the narrative of, big primetime games, money. Like, we hate those stats. We hate seeing them. But it makes you wonder, like, is there a lot of truth to that? And when these games matter the most and the lights are the brightest, which version of Cousins are we going to get, and which version of our offense? And if we get, punched in the mouth, the old cliche, will we punch back? And I'm really wanting to see that from this team. It's week 2, so we're going to suspend some judgment on that, give O'Connell some time, because I still think he's going to be great. I think the team could be really good this year. But, man, it'd really be nice to see us show up to one of these games where conditions are not ideal and things don't start off right, and us to actually jump back in a game and win a game when we're not supposed to. Like, how fun would that be to be a Dolphins fan after this weekend, or a Jets fan, and see your team win a game, or even Cardinals, I think, games that were put away and they were over with, and they came back and overcame that adversity and won. So I hope that we can see that sometime this year. Like you said, it's week 2, try not to overreact, never too high, never too low, somewhere in the middle there. But it would be fun to see that. So, Tanner, any closing thoughts? Otherwise, we'll look forward to Detroit next Sunday, and we'll jump on again maybe for another Purple Friday and regroup and try to come back again next week. So, any final thoughts on the game?
No, I just think people need to keep their heads up. This is going to be a good team this year, and I do think they're going to contend for the playoffs still, and probably for the division even. So I got them stringing together a couple wins here before we have to go down and face Miami. So I feel like we always play pretty well at home against Detroit. They are a much better team this year. It's not going to be an easy win, but I do think that they'll regroup, get back together, and get another home win this week.
I agree. It'd be a good test, and it's a very formidable line. It's not the same Lions team from the last few years. Yeah. So looking forward to Sunday. We'll see you guys again Friday. A couple of mortgage guys here. If you have something we can help out with on your home loan, let us know. Otherwise, we'll talk purple again on Friday. Thanks, everybody.